of talked to Tony White this week at length. He's got a real positive energy to him. I mean, you can just tell like guys like him, respect him. He's got 3 coaches with him on staff that were at Syracuse, but he's obviously blending in a lot of Matt Rule's guys with him. He played for Matt Rule at UCLA years ago. Rule was there. That's their connection. But just the development of this scheme, the personnel, the defensive line, there's a lot there that we've kind of taken in this first week.
There is. Now, the one thing caveat, Sean, I'm going to add here is you heard Rule today say that he doesn't want his coaches to evaluate players in terms of where they fit on a depth chart. Do you notice that? He doesn't even want them to look at it that way.
He doesn't want to give out. I mean, they're not going to give depth charts out probably during spring, are they?
No, he said they're going to wait till summer, August. So he doesn't even want his coaches to evaluate them that way. Teach them, develop them, and then we'll deal with that. So now there's guys that have made an impression. And remember what Tony White said. I mean, he just couldn't praise Malcolm Hartzog enough. And Hartzog, I watched today. God, he is impressive. I mean, I don't know what it is. He's got all the intangibles, and his tangibles are good too, though, except that size, which he clearly overcomes with intangibles and his intelligence. And he's an athletic kid.
Yeah, and he was so under the radar, just being not in a big city in Mississippi, and he's not big.
Remember when he got recruited? It was like, where'd this come from?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, it was off the radar completely.
I had to do that. I had to fill in. I was filling in. Ooh, I might have been at the Journal-Star then. I did his verbal commitment, and I remember having a hard time getting information on him.
Well, there were like 2 groups of guys that year. There was kind of like a push of guys in December, and he was in that push to like kind of have some people to sign in December. Then there was like a push of transfers and others in January. And that had a little bit more flash to it. You know, the Trey Palmers of the world and the Casey Thompsons and those guys came after that point. But he was, you're right, just didn't have much juice because he was so under the radar.
Yeah. Then, and remember when they started him, when it became apparent that he was going to start last year, and that was against Indiana.
Rutgers.
Oh, at Rutgers. It was, wow. They're really starting?
Or was it the Indiana game?
It was Indiana. Rutgers was the second game, I believe, as a starter. I believe. And then, well, what happened at Rutgers was interesting, Sean. Remember, Rutgers put a taller receiver on him. Ran verticals and beat him twice. Beat Hartzog twice. And those coaches on the sideline, there was some, what do we do here? And the ruling was from Bill Bush, keep him out. Keep him out there. Don't take him off the field. Let him work through this. They did, got an interception at the end of the game to seal it, and then had a great season.
It sounds like safety could be his long-term.
That's the other thing. Yeah, they're moving him around. You know,
there's this thought, I think, by some people on our message board, especially, that you have to be like a big linebacker almost to be you can be a small safety.
Right, you can.
You don't have to be like
Buford's a small guy.
6'2", 200 to be a safety.
No, Buford, the starting safety last year, 5'10", probably one
under 200 pounds.
Yeah, under 200. Yeah.
And Buford out this spring, and so we don't really know how he's going to come back either.
Could play corner too.
Miles Farmer,
Probably
what's his position going to be?
Not corner.
Nickel, safety.
Could be nickel. Yeah.
It feels as if
Rover. They're adding Rover. I mean, that's the thing, Sean.
The 3-3-5. So in the 5, they call that 5th defensive back more of a rover.
Rover, yeah. So you might see Farmer at something like that, or you might see him at safety.
Omar Brown, though, it feels like he's going to have a role.
Oh, it does.
There's just a feel about him, and he was messed up last year. He just wasn't ever fully healthy last year.
Back issues, right?
You've heard his name quite a bit. There's other guys that we haven't heard much on that back end, but Omar Brown.
You've heard a lot. Then the other thing that you see that's impressive is those transfers really look the part, particularly Borders and Sherman. I mean, I got to look at Sherman today, and they just look ready. They're guys, and when I say that, people are going to say, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Well, the only way I can explain it is there are guys, when you go over there and see them, they don't look ready. You can just see it. They just don't. They
like Jacob Hood.
Yeah, they physically.
He's big and tall, but he's not ready yet.
Yeah, and then there's guys that just aren't strong enough.
There's Chief.
You can eyeball them and see, no, he's not ready to play. But But those guys, yeah, they look physically ready. I don't know if they're mentally and all that, but they're definitely physically ready.
You're listening here to the Husker Online shows. We talk defensive storylines. That defensive line, I still think continues to be a weak spot. It's going to continue to be until they figure out who their guys are and what they want to do. But Ty Robinson's not practicing. But the portal portion of that defensive line, can they find essentially what they had to do last year and get a rent a player?
I wonder.
Does Rule want to take a rent a player where you just get like a 1-year transfer in?
There's the D line right there. See, so you have Stephon Wynn. You know he's going to play. You know Hutmacher's got to play. Robinson's got to play.
Those three.
Now you wonder among the big bodies is how good's Judy and is Buckley ready? Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wallen, Kai Wallen,
smaller.
He's not big.
No, he's a smaller guy. So now then you wonder. I was talking to Robin, and he said Riley Van Poppel's a big man.
Oh, he was at practice today?
Yeah, big
with
man.
His dad, Todd Van Poppel.
Whew. Now, I don't know if a guy can come in there and give you some reps. It's hard to say. And you mentioned the transfer portal, which could be an option. But Sean, I don't know that I describe them as weak. They're just light on numbers. Would you say that the defensive line was a weakness last season? It was average.
It was, it was serviceable.
Serviceable. I wouldn't say it was weak.
I still don't think Hutmacher gave Nebraska what we thought he was going to give them last year. I thought he was going to give them more.
Yeah.
You just think about where they were at compared to like when they had Damian Daniels,
the twins,
Khalil and Carlos Davis.
Mm-hmm.
To even before that with Malik Collins. I mean, they just don't have guys. We know that they don't have guys.
They don't have those guys.
I mean, that's why Nebraska is Nebraska right now. They don't have those kind of guys right now.
Thank you. That's well put, Sean. I mean, maybe, but now the wild card is, could Nash develop into that type of guy? Could Robinson? I mean, Robinson hasn't. I can't believe Robinson's played his best football here. I think his best football is to come. He's got 2 years.
If he wants to play for 6, he has 2 years.
Abby pointed out today when we were watching, Stephon Wynn is gigantic, not in a bad way. He's just like running into a house, Sean. If I ran into him, it'd be like running into a house. I mean, he's massive. Now how's that going to look come August? I don't know. I just wish they had 1 or 2 more guys in there that you could point to and say they're ready.
Like Colton Feast, like we've talked about, would have been.
Yeah, he would have helped a lot.
Just to have him.
Oh, he would have helped a lot.
Just the 30, 40 snaps he could give you, it would ease a little bit going in this year.
I wonder, like, if I was in a private conversation with Rule, it'd have to be private because he's not going to lay it on the line with you publicly about Feast. But I'd like to say there's not that many big guys out there. Why would you let one walk away? Or
even Garrett Nelson didn't make the combine.
Right.
Had to go to, God, if they just have Feast and Garrett Nelson back this year, things feel a little different up front.
Quite a bit different.
The defense looks a lot different.
Quite a bit different, actually.
Like, I'm okay. O'Shawn was never going to come back again.
No, he's not talking to the media. No. He's not. You notice he didn't talk to the media the other day. I've reached out to him 2 or 3 times. No go.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do to that D line, and that will be something we'll talk about here throughout the rest of the spring.